talk Arsenal, because Mikel Arteta will want to go into the international break with Arsenal's unbeaten start to the season still intact. They've got Southampton as visitors to the Emirates tomorrow afternoon. So it is very much a kind of top v bottom type clash, isn't it? Let's go live now to Gail Davis, who spoke with Mikel Arteta a bit earlier on. Hi there, Gail. Good afternoon to you. Admittedly, the last time out in the Premier League, Arsenal didn't have it all their own way. Leicester, put a good account of themselves, didn't they? They ended up winning it, but even so, just, maybe suffered a bit of a bloody nose along the way. What did he have to say about this game against Southampton?
Yeah, very good afternoon to you, David. Since the last international break, it's been hugely impressive, hasn't it, from Arsenal? They've gone away to the likes of City and Spurs and Atalanta. They've just beaten PSG. But we spoke to him last week before the Leicester game, and he talked about getting his squad together in the changing room, and they were all asked to write down words that they expected from Leicester with a way of focusing them. It's easy, isn't it, to get up for those huge games? How does he get his team in the right place against Leicester? As he said, a little bit of a wobble, but they came through in the end, and he believes that will serve his squad in really good stead further down the line. And it also came on a day, didn't it, where City dropped points, so there was that added pressure. Well, once again this week with Southampton coming to the Emirates, he has just said to them, we need to be ruthless, cannot afford to drop any more points. And Southampton have become a little bit of a bogey team for Arsenal under Arteta over the last few years. So this is what he had to say.
Yeah, we know the significance of the match, the difficulty of the match. Obviously, last week it was proven the tough schedule that we have, and that any opponent can cause you problems. And even when you think that the game is under control, the game can get out of your hands immediately. So it was a good thing probably to happen the way it ended up. And we know the quality of Southampton, in my opinion, a team that is extremely well coached, that they have a very clear philosophy. They've been very unlucky, not to have many more points, because there were moments in the game that they were far better than the opponent, and in some moments they got the results away from them, and it will be very tough.
OK, so we've got third top against second bottom, but another intriguing subplot here, Gail, is that we've got a familiar face returning to the Emirates in Aaron Ramsdale, who had, a tricky time, I think it's fair to say, when he was with Arsenal, and David Raya came in on loan from Brentford. So how do you think Mikel Arteta is going to be sort of approaching this reunion, I guess?
Well, Aaron Ramsdale had a tricky time, as you mentioned, but he was absolutely loved here by the fans and the players at the club, particularly fans. There was that real connection, and it was a difficult situation that he found himself in. And when you look back now and you look at the performances that Ray has put in, you think back to that save in Atalanta, you think about that save against Villa. Arteta was kind of fully justified, wasn't he, in his approach? And even the way that he distributed a ball 2 minutes in against Paris Saint-Germain on Tuesday night that set up Martinelli with a chance. But he has spoken to him. He's clearly a player that it's very hard to let go when he'd done such a good job in that first moment when he arrived. And he's looking forward, I think, to catching up with him, as so many of the players no doubt will be as well.
Yeah, obviously I called him straight away after I got the news at the end, and he was really happy. He's a player that we loved a lot, that very charismatic, that he really put his fingerprints here at the club in the way that he was, and yeah, it will be very good to see him. I was very grateful for what he did. When we signed in, obviously there was a lot of noise around him. We helped him to create the environment that he needed, because we believed in his potential. He showed it. He won the respect, admiration of all of us. And then the circumstances changed, because this is elite sport and can happen. And then it was difficult to deal with that situation in a natural way. And we decided to part ways. And hopefully he's grateful as well.
And Gail, Mikel Arteta is coming up against a manager who is very much under pressure right now, even though Southampton are newly promoted. Russell Martin maybe starting to feel the heat a little bit. Does he have any sympathy from the man who'll be in the away dugout?
Well, I spoke to him about having a philosophy and a vision. And if you think back to Arteta couple of seasons ago, wasn't it? He was under a huge amount of pressure, started the season really badly, and he stuck to his vision, and clearly he's changed things along the way because Arsenal have become a much more complete side. But he very much sort of playing the long game has served Arsenal very well, and he was only really full of compliments for what Russell Martin's done at Southampton, gave him a very glowing report, and he believes that if he feels it, that is the way that he should be playing the game.
I don't know, every manager had a choice to do that. What I can tell you that the results that he's proven are there. It's clear, very clear identity, very clear way of playing, and very successful. So it's up to the manager. What I can say, watching it, analysing it, that they are really good and that he's really good. I love that kind of behaviour. At the end, you have to do what you feel, and he's proven that his philosophy is extremely successful. What he did with Swansea, what he did with Southampton. I think last year there were 25 games unbeaten. It was a joy to play that towards that team play. The same with Swansea. And that's it. And for what I've seen, they deserve much more than what they have already. But this is the Premier League, and the small details are so important to get results.
In terms of the team news ahead of tomorrow's game, Ben White and Jurrien Timber, they're both in contention. I didn't watch them train yesterday. They've had to manage their workload and different training for them again today. Tomiyasu also could play a part, but in terms of the longer term injuries, Zinchenko hoping he'll be back or nearly back after the international break, but the big one, the really big one, is Martin Odegaard, and at the moment he can't put a timeline, Arteta, on his return, so a little bit of a worry, but certainly Arsenal and Arteta looking to go into this international break with another win under their belts.
All right, thank you very much indeed for the moment, Gail.